wind. This is the 168 TSX at 3158 with reloader 17 at 330 yards. Three shots. I just fired the 165 TSXs at 8 feet per second slower. You seem very consistent ballistically. Barrel's a bit warm now. Not too bad. Hopefully this is going to be all right. Here we go. First dot. Shot. So about 320 some yards, I forget how many. Here we have the 165 TSXs. There they are. So that's a 1, 2, 3.5 inch group. And here is the 168 TSXs as 1T in just around 2 inches at 330 yards. I think maybe that's the load. And I'm also getting velocities of 3150. I think both of those might be the load. Okay, how have I set this up with a long-range reticle from Loophole, 200 yards, sight in. And then the first dot is set up for 320 yards with this load. And then the third dot, or second dot rather, is 430 yards. Halfway between that is 55 yards, so if it was 375 yards, I would go right between those two dots. And then if it's way out at 535 yards, I aim at that picket. And again, it's not a perfect system, but it's pretty good. Now, how do I remember that? I put this onto my underside of my cover. So there it is. That will allow me to remember. And what about windage, you ask? Well, windage I've flipped under the front cover. Basically, it's 2.2 MOA to that first dot, which is also the wind drift at 350 yards. So it allows me to use Kentucky windage a little bit more precisely with those dots, those loophole dots. I like the simple reticle. I like the fact that it's only got two dots because then you're unlikely to mix them up. I find the problem with reticles is sometimes you mix up the points that you're using as your aiming point, but with just two dots, it makes it easy. The gun shoots a little flatter. I could go all out and use a 300 yard zero, and then they'd be on roughly 400, 500, 600 yards, very close to it. But then I've got a fairly high rise at 150 yards, 170 yards. And if I'm going to use this for moose and thread it through bush, I'd be better off using that 200 yard zero. So I'm very, very pleased. I've got three loads that'll shoot under an inch all the way up to 300 meters, including that 168 TSX bullets, which seems to want to shoot 2/3 of an MOA. And thank goodness I got 5 pounds of reloader 17. I'm down to about 2 pounds of reloader 17. I use that also in my 25-06 with 101 grain LRX bullets. Good powder. Glad I've got it. What do I think about the titanium A bolt? Good rifle. Barrel is pencil thin. It'll start to walk past 3 shots. Even the third shot is sometimes just slightly out of the string of the first 2. I think that barrel really wants to shoot. It heats up really, really fast when you're pouring that powder through it. The 300 Winchester short magnum is a useful upgrade from the 30-06. It's as big a jump as between the 308 and the 30-06. You got the same kind of jump from 30-06 to 300 Winchester short magnum. So it's a useful upgrade. It's not, it doesn't change the character of it totally. I'm still glad I've got the Forbes. The Forbes have a heavier barrel. they shoot a little bit more consistently. But this Brownie, you put the right load in it, pretty good. 6 pounds 11 ounces. My Forbes is 6 pounds 13 ounces. So I've saved a whole 2 ounces. There's a fair, even though you save weight in that pencil barrel, there's a fair bit of weight in the magazine and bottom metal and all that kind of stuff. So the action really isn't light even in titanium, but they've done a pretty good job with it. Really like the stock. That stiff carbon stock or whatever they made it out of. Good rig, glad I bought it. I think I'll probably be my rifle for the summer. I'll keep shooting it. I haven't been shooting at the plates yet because they're all frozen into the ground. So I'm gonna have to go out when it's a little bit warmer and they're unfrozen.